We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. Guys, I'm going to try to. I have absolutely no idea if I'm going to succeed. I probably won't. I'm probably just letting out hot air and just speaking to the masses. And some people will either listen to what I have to say and have to just, they'll just get to a point where, oh, Blake's pushing a narrative or whatever. But we will do a Ruffino's Rants, guys. I got to tell you. I got to tell you. Because it happened today on social media. I don't understand some of the logic of why people think LSU is struggling, quote unquote. But I promise you this, it's not your starting quarterback. I saw a media member kind of not poke fun, but give a critique that I don't necessarily agree with. And guys, honestly, you're going to need Jaden Daniels to win you the game Saturday because Mississippi State, whether you like it or not, is a really damn good team right now. You're going to need him a lot. You're going to probably need him to dominate because I'm going to give you some stats tonight through this Ruffino's Rants that, quite honestly, guys, blows my mind a little bit. Blows my mind that how just maybe, excuse me, we take Mike Leach for granted, maybe, and think he's just maybe an idiot. You're going to need Jaden Daniels and everything and all the tools that he provides you. Okay. Because this will be the last time that, look, I promise you, outside of games, in my own opinion, about those games, guys, we got to push past this Jaden Daniels thing, meaning the Jaden Daniels thing of that he's the reason we lost to Florida State. Guys, he's not. He's not. We'll get into that. Also, Coach Kelly did the SEC teleconference today. We were on the SEC teleconference listening to Coach Kelly. Had some really interesting points. I think he didn't tip his hand, but I think that you can kind of get the feeling of what, I mean, just what a normal coach in his position with all of his head coaching experience looks to and looks forward to this game. Guys, this is a first conference game outside of the COVID year, because I'm going to take the COVID year aside, but this is really the true, really true first conference game for Brian Kelly since he's been at Cincinnati. We'll touch on that and what Coach Kelly had to say. Memphis Spence. Why do I cough only when I come on the show? Like it's the only time I come on the show. Memphis Spence will be joining us, one of your guys' favorite guests, one of my favorite guests, a guy that votes for, I think he votes for the Outland Trophy, Nagurski Award, Heisman, all that stuff, and does his top 16 every week, and he's always pretty spot on. So we'll have Memphis Spence joining us at 7:30. And something I missed last night, hashtag Ask Blake, and we'll throw that in there. And I forgot to put this in the notes earlier today. Let me write this down. We are going to be giving a recruiting update before Memphis Spence joins us. Some things LSU's doing. We're getting some confirmation of guys that are going to be attending this game at 5 o'clock on Saturday against Mississippi State. We'll be touching on that as well, so I'll be giving you a slight recruiting date. But if you want to read the entirety of a recruiting update, go to our message board, ayssnetwork.com. That's ayssnetwork.com. I think, guys, I give you a solid 4 or 5 paragraphs about things that LSU's doing that I think is pretty massive. So go there, read all of it. I'll give a couple of notes here and there here tonight just to give an update for those who have not been able to subscribe yet. But you need to go subscribe because sooner or later I'm gonna stop doing that in here, and you're just gonna have to go in there and you're gonna have to subscribe. Okay, let's get this thing rolling. So let's get to a couple comments though before we do get started. Kim, Marvin, say let's go. King Mo says that's a sick intro. Thank you, King Mo. It's our producer Pooh Bear. They see me rolling. They hating. Patrolling. They trying to catch Pooh Bear riding dirty. Pause. Brandon says, gonna be in the house to watch the Tigers take care of business. I love it, Brandon. Chris Lee says, what time is the game on Saturday, Chris? It is at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Breaker 1-4, 10-4. Charlie Viator says, hashtag Ask Blake, will Seven Banks be ready? I believe that he will. I'm actually hearing some good things on Seven Banks. I will probably give a update on practice today too. Y'all just ask me a little bit later. Legacy, I'm sorry. Legacy Dom on YouTube says El Presidente in the club, JD5 checking in, Big Blake. And then he finishes the sentence in Spanish. Legacy, I apologize, buddy. I think it is Spanish, I believe. Some of the words I know, but the only words that I know is El Taco and El Burrito. That's about it. I'm sorry, I do not speak Spanish. Oh, here it is. He says, sup, Big Blake. Thanks for the love you show for my nephew since he hit the portal. Only show other than Carter's the family tunes in. Thanks, bud. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Sorry, I don't speak Espanol. I'm good in some of it. I can kind of understand it more than, speaking it or reading it, if that makes sense. Kari says, taking MSU for granted it is idiotic. LSU can go winless in the SEC this year if they play anything close to that Florida State debacle. 7 of the 8 SEC opponents that we have to play are in the top 25 this season. And what's interesting is our good buddy Late Kick Josh has them at number 12. Look, Josh's formula is pretty accurate at times. Sometimes it's off, but it's pretty accurate. There is one stat that really worries me. I'll get into tonight. Like really, 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 really worries me for Saturday. And if it remotely gets close to this, LSU is going to lose. Guys, if Florida State does it, if Mississippi State does this to any of their opponents or get remotely close to this stat, LSU and every opponent's going to lose. I don't think that they'll do that. I think LSU is going to prevail. But regardless, and guys, look, during the 2020 season, I would come out here and y'all would get mad at me. I'd be like, guys, LSU's getting beat this week badly. And it was just the truth. I would tell you if I feel like LSU was getting beat. I haven't felt that way all week. But I will give you one stat that really worries me, and I know that Brian Kelly and his staff are really taking advantage or going to try to take advantage of. Stephen Fry, the new daddy, is in the house. I think child number 3, if I'm not mistaken. Our good sponsor over at Fry Construction. Y'all go give him a call. He says, ever took a metal bat to a cowbell? Sounds amazing. No, but I've taken a baseball bat to a lot of things. I've taken it to a lot of things. Brandon says, I know it's easier said than done. If LSU play the way they did against Southern going forward, they can win a lot of games. Yeah, and guys, Southern's just really bad too. Legacy said my phone did that. True. Mayor says Blake does not look like Vince Gill. Well, it's good to know. I'll ask this. I'll let you guys roast on me a little bit. If I had a celebrity doppelganger, who would it be? Who would my celebrity doppelganger be? If you surpass 10,000 followers on Twitter or Facebook, are you considered a celebrity? Can I be my own doppelganger and you guys not roast me? I like this, Mayor. I like this. I like this a lot. Weird Al, says Daniel. I mean, I know who yours is. Chameleonaire. They see me rolling. They hating. Patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty. The mayor says Brad Pitt. You guys aren't gonna beat that one. Derek Fondo says Luke Combs. Okay. Hey, down yonder on the Chattahoochee. Doug Ray says Jack Black. I can dig it. I like me some Jack Black, man. Pooh Bear, a tall Joe Pesci. This wins. Don't give me this Brent Shelton saying Kevin James. Get out of here. Mark Spell says a bearded Vince Vaughn. Okay, I like that one too. It comes down to the Joe Pesci and a bearded Vince Vaughn. Penn Jones says a butthead. God, dog, boy. God, dog. Stefan says Sal from Impractical Jokers with more beard. Okay, I like that one. I got to be honest. It makes me awkward to watch Impractical Jokers. You know, it makes me it makes me anxious. You know, I don't like awkward. You know, confrontation. I did used to like. Black Goatee says Matt from SEC Shorts. Who's Matt? Let me Google this. Matt SEC Shorts. Oh, no, that's SEC Roll Call. Matt Mitchell. Okay. I like Matt Mitchell. I like that. Maybe we can get Matt Mitchell on the show. Maybe we can I tell you what Billy Abraham's mad at me. Blake, what the hell are you doing? They used to call you remember Josh and Drake that came on Nickelodeon? What's the big guy they said looked like Josh or whatever his name was? That one's not funny. Okay, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Everybody do us a favor and hit the like and share. Look, so many of you are watching us live right now on Facebook. Hit the like and share. Share to all those Facebook groups. We greatly appreciate you guys doing that. If you're listening to us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and notification bell. Like I told you, we'll be putting more content, especially in the start of the new year. We'll be adding some things and doing some things that I'm really looking forward to. And maybe even more of me around here, especially maybe in the morning times, but we'll see. Also, if you're listening to us on XM Radio, you're listening to us on TuneIn app, you're listening to us on the audio podcast platforms, rate, review, subscribe, all that great stuff. We greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get this thing rolling. Let's pay these bills. Let me tell you about my good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and betonline.ag. Guys, we return in 1 minute. We got a lot to talk about LSU. Ruffino's Ranch around the corner. I'm not taking this any longer. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down on the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. I hope you guys can hear me. You guys can hear me? Y'all can hear the ad? I'm not going crazy because I see this from Ryan. This kind of stuff, sometimes freaks me out when you guys say silence. Paul's Hub, Andrew Martin says Joe Pesci meets Duck Dynasty. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Doug Knows says I meant Matt Patricia. Damn, dog. I got the pencil. I do got the pencil. Uh-huh. God, Matt Patricia. But see, here's the thing. I don't use a pen. Let me show you. I don't use a pencil to write on laminated shit, though. Like, dude, I go through like 500 of these a year. It's a journal. Majority of it's filled with football shit and shit I got to remember about LSU, believe it or not. If you get my little black book, you find out shit about LSU. Just joking. Not really. All right, everybody, stop, collaborate, listen, hit the like and share. I'm going to try. I said this last night. This is how we're going to do it. I'm going to give it a quick Ruffino's rants. Then we're going to do a recruiting update. And then I want to talk about a stat and Brian Kelly, a stat that Mississippi State holds that really worries me. That's how we're going to do it. I'm not going to spend long on this Ruffino's rants. I hope this is the last time I have to say this. Now, look, I'm going to say this too. Guys, there's going to be a time this season where Jaden Daniels throws an interception or has a turnover. Okay? There's going to be times where he doesn't complete a pass. He makes a wrong read. There's going to be times where he rolls outside the pocket, maybe when he's not supposed to, take off running, maybe when he shouldn't have. I get all that. Let me tell you this, though, and let me say this. I'm kind of getting to the point where, man, I see this stuff on social media. You guys tag me on it on Twitter about Jaden Daniels should have done this. Jaden Daniels should have done that. Guys, let me just say this. And a lot of the film is being broke down about Jaden. Well, he should have hit Kayshawn on the back of the end zone. Well, guys, he scored on the play, the first series on LSU's offense. Guys, he's completed 8 straight scoring drives that have resulted in a touchdown. And we want to remotely criticize. There's a difference between critiquing and criticizing. Did he miss Kayshawn in the back of the end zone? Maybe. Is there an underneath defender that he might have thought that was a little further back to Kayshawn than he was? Probably. But guys, let me just give a very quick persona, because if you missed it today, there's been videos popping out all over Twitter about Jaden Daniels and about the issues of him not hitting his first read. If his first read's not there, then he's not throwing the football. Guys, that's simply not true. The touchdown to DeRay Jenkins to almost tie the game against Florida State was 2 reads. Kayshawn got doubled on a quick little hitch. I want to say, and if my memory serves me correctly, Malik Neighbors ran a little corner route to the pylon, and on the backside, you have DeRay Jenkins running a slant. And then you had Mason Taylor out in the right flat. He goes from corner, he goes to Kayshawn, he goes to Mason Taylor. Boom, 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 all covered. Then he goes back to DeRay, hits the slant route, touchdown. And then all of a sudden you hear this. We all know the fight song. Guys, he is your MVP through 2 games, and it is of my opinion that you're going to need him to play at that same type of high of level to beat Mississippi State Saturday. Blake, he should have hit the inside slant. Well, it's funny about that because it seems as if that play call, you remember when Jaden Daniels allegedly missed Malik Neighbors on the inside slant. People said it would have been a touchdown. I get it. I get it. They did this. They ran the same play. One of them got caught by DeRay Jenkins for a first down. The other one was missed by Kayshawn Boutte in the end zone. An outside slant. Seems like it's a little bit of a scheme thing to me. Could be wrong there, but that's what it feels like. They even came back to it against Southern. My point in all of this is there are things that Jaden needs to do better. We all have to be better as human beings. But there is a difference between criticizing and critiquing. At this point, guys, when a human being goes 10 of 11 against an inferior opponent in Southern, because, guys, Southern, the God's honest truth is Southern's not a good team compared to LSU. When you go 10 of 11 and 4 total touchdowns, that person and that quarterback deserves the right for you to say that they made the right decisions. Because, guys, in week 1, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, Bryce Young, went 18 of 28 with 5 touchdowns. 18 of 28. So that means he missed 10 passes. You know what? Bryce Young, bad decision maker. Joe Burrow threw 4 interceptions on Sunday. Bad decision maker. There are a lot of times, if you ever talk to a quarterback, guys, as a center that in which I played, the conversation that a center has to have with their quarterback. You probably remember the epic conversations that Peyton Manning would have with Jeff Saturday, right? Like, you have to have those type of conversations. Guys, there are a lot of times, I promise you this, there are a lot of elite quarterbacks, not good, not great, elite quarterbacks that do not make throws because they don't believe they can't get it there in time and will take a safer play and a safer route to not turn the football over. The biggest stat that Jaden Daniels has is 0 turnovers. Biggest stat you have. Saturday, so let me make this point very clear for the 400 people listening to us live, okay? Let me make this very, 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 very clear to the people watching on Facebook, to the people watching on YouTube, to the people listening on XM Radio, to the people listening on TuneIn. Hear me loud and clear. There's going to be times that Jaden Daniels struggles in this season. It's going to happen. You're going to have to critique him. We're going to critique him on this show. But to say that he has not been your MVP through 2 weeks is not only asinine, guys, it's just plumb not true. Listen to whoever you want to listen to. It is a free country. You have the God-given right to believe and think whatever you want to. It doesn't make you right. He throws the football with a lot of conviction and anticipation. The fade route to Kayshon Boutte in the back of the end zone that was dropped was an anticipated throw based off of the Rudy Poo coverage that Florida State ran. And they're lucky that LSU didn't capitalize. All right. Critique, don't criticize. There are 2 completely different things here. Now, look, there are going to be times too where players make extremely boneheaded decisions. There are times that you can't criticize a decision, but not right now. This isn't it. So to the media members who are saying, and God forbid, if you played this game, you should know better. He is your MVP. He is your Kevin Durant. You the real MVP. I'm not going to hoot and holler and scream anymore. You want the truth? You probably can't handle the truth. Last week, you know, the only thing I heard, guys, we went and counted this today. Do you know how many comments we had in shows last week? It was over 7,500 of them. I went through as many of them as I could during my freaking lunch break. Shout out to Matt Trent from WBRZ. But I went through all of them. At least a third of them were, let's see Garrett Nussmeier. You're not saying that now, are you? Very interesting. Very interesting. Why there's not more critiquing of Garrett Nussmeier than there is Jaden Daniels, I have no idea. Guys, he threw a pick 6. He threw another interception. Garrett will be fine. Garrett will be fine. So is Jaden Daniels. You critique a guy that's made literally no mistakes in turning the football over. Bryce Young, bad reads of defense. He's a bad reader of defenses. How about that? You know why? Because he went 18 of 28 against Utah, but God forbid Jaden Daniels go 10 of 11 with 4 total TDs. I mean, for crying out loud. Okay. All right. I always say that. And Dane Bergeron sends us $5. Preach it, Blake. LSU rides with JD. You're damn right we do. And I always say I'm only going to spend 5 minutes on something, and I never do. I'm such a hypocrite sometimes. My intentions are pure. Let me get to this recruiting thing, and then we'll get to this stat. Okay, and then we'll get to some of your comments. Oh, my neck. Let me tell you this. If you're not subscribed to the message board, you should be. AYSSnetwork.com. I'm going to say this, and it's going to come out as Blake's just saying this tongue-in-cheek. And it shouldn't be taken this way. Guys, Ed Orgeron was and is an elite recruiter. You can hate him all the live long day. You can hate he does this or that. Guys, he's an elite recruiter. I mean, it is what it is at this point. You can't take that away from Ed. You cannot take that away from Ed Orgeron. However, guys, there's going to be some things in recruiting within the next couple of weeks. Could even start as early as this week. Who knows? The staff that Brian Kelly has put around him is more elite in recruiting. You let your managers manage, and you are the CEO. Now, there are some things I hear about Brian Kelly when it comes to being the closer. Talked to a recruit last week who talked to Brian Kelly saying, he sold me on his vision, and we are pretty much sold. Guys, you have a lot of talent that's going to be here this weekend. You got 5 stars from IMG coming. Taviano was here last weekend. And I'm talking about Javian Taviano, the 5-star DB, who just got moved down to a 4-star after he got crystal balled to LSU. Go figure. But regardless, guys, this recruiting step for LSU is elite. E-L-I-T-E, elite. Does me spelling it out like Webby said does independent, does that make, when Webby hits that I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T, do you know what that means? Like when I spell elite, does it get the point across? Does it get the point across? All right. All I'm going to say is you guys need to subscribe to the message board. So I'm going to say, I think that this staff is going to get something popping here very soon, and it's going to turn a lot of heads. Because secretly, here's the truth. Secretly, I think some people are going to be decommitting from Notre Dame. Secretly, I think LSU is going to surpass them. Secretly, I've talked to an SEC coach who kind of does that side-eye emoji thing, like the kid that was in Popeyes, the little chunky kid who does the side-eye emojis. Remember that? Remember that kid? By the way, he just graduated high school, nevertheless. That's how old we are. But nevertheless, this staff is elite when it comes to recruiting. You can just trust me on that. They'll turn your heads. Let's get to Memphis Spence. But I want to say this before we get to the GOAT. The Memphis GOAT. Bah. Now, Memphis played Mississippi State. Memphis Spence. An interesting stat that I'm going to lead this off with Memphis is Barrett Sallee. Now, I don't know Barrett that well. I've never really talked to him, but he comes out with these interesting stats during the week. And when he does it, I got to be honest, it always makes me turn my head. Guys, did you know that Mississippi State was second in the country in time of possession with 39 minutes? You know what else is interesting? LSU lost to Florida. Here's how LSU lost to Florida State. Even though LSU did not allow points off of the 2 muff punts, the time of possession going to Florida State killed you. Now, we criticize Mike Leach all the live long day. You know, the stigmas around Mike Leach are as is followed. Then we're going to Memphis. We'll get to a break and go to Memphis here. That Mike Leach is a dummy, that he doesn't evolve, that he's going to do it his way and nobody else's way. Well, here's two big points that why great coaches, and I will say great, not elite. Guys, you know, if you've been watching this show, you know I have pillars and I have tiers. You have elite Nick Saban. I will even put, and you're going to kill me on this, Dabo in there. Guys, if you win more than one national title at the same program and you're doing what they're doing at Clemson, I put you there. Just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that Kirby will get in there. So many elite coaches. Mike Leach has had a lot of success in his career. Want to put him good, want to put him great, whatever. He's adapting in these two things. Guys, he's slowing down. He's taking the air out of the football by running the ball more, and he's keeping the ball away from you, and he's making you stop. Now, the one thing that's going to be key for LSU is if they want to play this time of possession game, your defense gets a chance to reset. Okay, let's get to Memphis Spence. Let's get to him, and let's pay these bills, because I know that he's going to have more of a knowledge about Mississippi State, seeing them play live and in color, playing Memphis, you know, covering Mike Leach for as long as he has. I'm even sure going back to the Texas Tech days, maybe even going all the way back to Kentucky. Who knows? We'll ask him next. But let's talk about our good friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com. Guys, we return in 1 minute with the Memphis GOAT. Bah! Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are the Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast, as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. All right, we are here with Memphis Spence, the GOAT, Memphis, what's up, my brother? How we doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing good, Blake. How you doing?
Well, we'll ask me around 8:45 on Saturday. How about that?
That'll be a good time, right?
So Memphis, I'm going to give you the entire floor on this one. Okay.
Sure.
You see Mississippi State. You covered Mike Leach. You know him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard this segment before you came on. I don't, producers tell me all this stuff, whatever. So let me ask you this. Does it make I don't really know how to ask the question other than, does it make you turn your head when you see that Mississippi State is second in the country in time of possession in 39 minutes over 2 games?
Yes. And it makes me turn my head even more when you think about it like this. Mike Leach is tricking defensive coordinators. And it's really weird because Mississippi State right now, based on that stat, you would believe that Mississippi State has an efficient run game, right? You would believe that. However, they're actually 5th in the nation in passing yards and 112th in the nation in rushing yards. Now, how do you get that much time of possession if you're 112th in rushing yards?
You digging and dunking, right?
It's an amazing thing, because you're sitting there like, well, wait a minute. How are they controlling the clock when they're not really efficient on the ground? I mean, Memphis, think about it like this. Memphis beat them. They didn't even have 100 yards rushing on Memphis. Memphis had, I think, like 119, and I think they had like 92. They're not doing it as much on the ground. They're using these runs just to keep the linebackers honest. That's it. That's the only thing that they're using the run for. There's a lot of screens. There's a lot of dump plays. There's a lot of RPO. And I didn't even really know. The thing about it is 5 touchdowns and 1 interception basically was that game in Memphis. They also had a turnover on the ground. They had 2 turnovers. Memphis only had 1. Memphis won the actual turnover battle. I expect LSU to win the turnover battle as well. However, we didn't do anything with it. Our third down conversion rate was like 25%. Mississippi's defense, what nobody's talking about is Mississippi State's defense on third down is way better than advertised. People are talking about Will like he's like coming. I'm like, listen, man, if you look at what they're doing on defense to get off the field, then you'll realize how they're actually keeping the ball as much as they are.
Right.
Their defense is much better than advertised.
Now, so Zach Arnett interview with Ed Orgeron, and Ed just didn't comprehend, I think, the 3-3-5, and that's not a shot at Ed. There's a lot of great college coaches. Like I know of a very prominent head coach in the SEC who doesn't understand what the concepts are. He gets the concepts. He doesn't understand the 3-3-5, but Zach Arnett has completely changed the game with this 3-3-5. Memphis, is this – so when you're voting in the top for your top 16, number one, let me ask you, is Mississippi State close to that, in your opinion, in that top 16, if they're not already in it?
They're not in it. Okay. They're close. They really are close.
How close are they?
They're like 19. When I was going through it, it was between them and Tennessee, honestly, that I was thinking about, like right there at 16. But then I started looking at how Mississippi State was winning games. I'm like, they're really a little bit too one-dimensional for me to believe in them right now. And they're going to run into a very sound backfield, maybe DBU, and it'll get crucial for them because they haven't won any games on the ground. I'm not sure their offensive line, obviously they can pass block. I'm not sure if they can run block. I still and if they can, I haven't seen it yet. So this is what I will tell you about Mississippi State that I know for a fact. On third down, watch out because they're getting off the field better than almost any defense out there, and nobody's talking.
Also number 2 there. They're number 2 in third down efficiency defensively. They're number 2 in keeping the football away in the country. Memphis, now, correct me if I'm wrong. You've been a voter for a long time now.
Right.
So let me just ask this question. I'm not trying to overreact, but you know how I get. I get emotional as hell. When you lead in those 2 stats, that means 10 wins. If you can sustain that. Now, they haven't played, and this isn't a shot at Memphis. They haven't played the SEC gauntlet that they're about to go through, right? So
that's true.
And I get that.
That's right.
But Memphis, if they're even remotely close and even in the top 10 of that, that's a 8, 9, 10 win team regardless. Am I going crazy?
Yep. No, you're not. Do I want to say that's a 10-win team? I don't know if it is. So, okay, if they continue to do what they're doing against SEC caliber teams, not Memphis's, Memphis, if Memphis was in the SEC, they'd probably be, I don't know, South Carolina or something like that. They're about there. You know what I'm saying? They have a good quarterback, and they play decent defense. We have a couple of guys that'll probably get to the league on defense. Nothing, but really vanilla at a lot of places. Mississippi State's better than that. Mississippi State actually, Will is a really good quarterback. When looking at Will and Seth side by side, I was like, Will really is a better quarterback than Seth, hands down. Seth being our quarterback. And I started looking and I was like, well, why is he better? Is it because of his fundamentals? Is it because of his pre-snap reads? Is it because he's getting more time on, more time to go through his reads? Is he making he's always making the right read, but why is that? And I was trying to figure out exactly why is he so efficient at what he's doing? And I think it's because that offensive line pass blocks like no other, which means if you don't have a defensive line or you just lost a stud on your defensive line, there are going to be problems there because and the only thing that makes me believe that LSU can win this game is because it's DBU. I mean, I can tell you this right now because I have a little bit of inside information.
Hold on.
There will be.
That's our breaking news sound. Continue.
There will be at least one NFL scout there looking at LSU DBs.
Do you know, and don't share if you can't, do you know who the DB they're looking at is?
I'm not supposed to say that, but I can say, this is what I can say. Does it
rhyme with Rolby Richardson? All right, let's move on.
I was about to say I like cheese also. So, I mean, that's that, and this guy's name might be a type of cheese. But yes, there's definitely going to be an NFL scout looking at the technique of an LSU DB, and whether he realizes it or not, this is going to be a game where he gets evaluated for the NFL. And honestly, this will be a game that the LSU DBs are going to be put under a lot of pressure. But if they rise to the challenge, this is a winnable game for LSU.
Well, let's hope that they don't go full Ed Orgeron and run man-to-man coverage like in 2020.
Jesus. No. There's going to have to be.
They're not going to.
There's going to have to be some zone blitzing and everything else going on in this game. I don't know. To run man-to-man, your defensive line would have to be at 100%, and it's not. So there's only certain times where you're going to be able to do that throughout the game. In my opinion, the weaker your defensive line, the more you have to run zone. You got some injury, you got key injury on the defensive line that's going to cause some problems. But here's what I believe. If Will was I think it was like 38 of 49 against Memphis. If LSU can cut out around 10 of those completions, you can win the game. Because a lot of them are going to be low. The things that aren't going to hurt you are the things that he's doing underneath, the things under 5 yards. Those won't hurt you as much because LSU is going to tackle this game, right? There's going to be some tackling.
Let's hope so.
They have to be able to tackle in space. And I trust that's one of the things, of course, that these scouts are going to be looking at. Can these corners tackle in space? Because they're going to have to. They're going to be put out on islands and have to make these tackles in space, have to make the right reads, have to charge the line when they need to. The other thing that's going to be necessary is that LSU is going to have to possess the ball. I want to believe that if LSU has a rushing game, that we will see a lot of it. If Kelly's going to have to break out, a strong run game and take time off the clock, because you can't get into a passing war with Will. You can't get into a passing war with Mississippi State. I don't care how good your quarterback is. It can't be that. You have to take possessions away from them by running the darn ball.
And the ball.
You have to. And you have to be effective, 4 or 5 yards a carry. Because if you can do that and take away some possessions, then not only you're in the game. My experience has been LSU's defensive backs get better as the game goes along.
No
The
doubt.
longer,
Agreed.
the longer that LSU is in this game, the harder it's going to be to trick some of those safeties and DBs back there into what they're usually running. If it's close or if they need something late, I think LSU can stop them on those late, those fourth quarter drives and actually come up with a W. But you have to shrink this. You have to shrink this game. You got to take the ball away from them, and you have to do that on the ground.
Memphis, a lot of people have said this week, and I'm not going to go there with them yet. Quote unquote, Alabama is vulnerable.
Yeah.
My thought on this is great teams find ways to win, and it admits adversity, right? Like Saban always finds ways to win. It's not pretty. Quite honestly, it doesn't matter when you win. My question, though, is we've never seen a team, though, under his watch have 15 penalties for 100 yards. When you look at this Alabama team and you look at this Texas game from last week, what do you see with Alabama, and how does that shuffle your board up top, if at any?
Well, here's the thing. And a lot of people got on me at the beginning of the preseason. They were like, why do you have Georgia above Alabama? Number one,
I remember this.
Give Georgia some respect. They just won a national championship. But coming in, they lost more players. So wait a minute. They lost more players. Alabama has more players coming back. Wouldn't your calculations put, Alabama above Georgia? Theoretically, yes. But the information that I came in that was coming in to me anyway was that, watch out for these penalties. Alabama's young and the coaches are hollering at them a lot. Well, we saw that show up against Texas, right? So if that continues, there's where Alabama is. It's not skill. It's not recruiting. It's inefficiency in playing. If they get into those situations and those young guys jump on the line or they hold, just because they get nervous or whatever, those are the penalties that kind of bring a good team equal with Alabama. And those are the things I was worried about. This team's still a little young.
Right.
And from what my beat writers are saying, there's a lot of screaming and hollering in practice. So it's not, they don't have it all there. Now, at the end of the year, I expect all that stuff to be, kind of even out. You don't have a preseason in college football. So some of that stuff is just, a team trying to find out what it is at the beginning of the season. You got tough matchups. You battle through adversity. The best thing you can do is win and have 15 penalties because you can clean up those 15 penalties. So I expect Alabama to get better throughout the year. I expect them to grow, but they are vulnerable. They come up against a well-disciplined team.
You mean Georgia?
Yeah, Georgia. Even Ohio State at this point. It's going to be it's at the end of the year, it's not going to matter as much as it does now. But yeah, Texas almost took them. And really, was that a safety? That could have been it. I kept looking at it and I was like, intentional grounding in the end zone.
The only reason I give that a wash is when you play a replay for me and you call it pass interference and Kool-Aid McKinstry doesn't touch anybody.
Yeah.
Dog. I'm sorry, Memphis, and I'm not a Bama fan at all. But with all due respect to Kool-Aid McKinstry and his entire family, that shit was rigged. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying when you legitimately don't touch somebody, whatever. Memphis, I got two big ones for you. Number one, Brandon Reese asked about Texas A&M. I'm going to kick it to my own question because I was going to ask you about this. There's no way in blue hell you run Haynes King out there this week against Miami, right? Like, you got to go to Max at this point. Or am I crazy?
What's Texas A&M playing for now? We know that they're not going to get to the college football playoff, not with that loss. So don't you want to see what else you have? I guess they could get to the SEC championship. It's possible. They haven't lost any SEC games, but are you going to get there right now? with who you got starting. And if not this game and then next game, I don't know what you. But I wouldn't know. I against Miami, and see, this was one of those games I had circled because
it should be the game of the week, should it not?
It should be, but Texas A&M kind of messed that up, or actually made it more interesting in my mind because I'm still not sold on Miami.
Bingo.
I'm really not, and I got to see them against this Texas A&M. That Miami's line. Texas A&M's line is probably about 100 pounds bigger than Miami's line. I'm like, I don't know if these small guys are going to be able to. I get it. They build their line for efficiency. They build it for endurance and whatnot. They're doing wind sprints and everything else in the fourth quarter. But I still think they're going to get run over. I've got to think that at this point, Jimbo's like, all right, just line them up, boys. Line them up. We're bigger. If you can't run through the B gap or off tackle against Miami, then we're wasting our NIL money. we just are. If you can't open a hole against a smaller defensive line, I know they're fast, but they're small. If you can't manhandle them on the line, then we're just wasting NIL money. We need to start building a team that looks like that instead of what we've done. So I still think that Miami's going to get handled on the ground. I don't know what that means in terms of the passing game, though. This game's going to be closer than I thought. I thought this was going to be a Texas A&M blowout, and Texas A&M proved me wrong. I'm like, oh, they're really terrible.
Here's my thing with them, Memphis, is they struggled, meaning Miami, with Southern Miss for a half, and App State's better than Memphis. And if anything does correlate with one another, look, I'm with you. Now, let me ask you this very quickly, and I want to get to USC. Sure. I want to get to USC. Really quickly, do you think Max Johnson wins them this game if he starts?
That's a good question.
Long pauses are never good.
That's a good question.
Memphis, by the way, I'll say this without sourcing or breaking. It's of my humble opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting. It's of my humble opinion. I would be utterly if he doesn't start. I would be utterly shocked if he doesn't play a good bit, because there are some things I hear through the grapevine that, like you mentioned, when you start paying that much money, not only to your head coach, but to players, you better start winning. You better start winning quick. That's the only reason. And look, there was a lot of suitors for Max Johnson. I'm old enough to remember when, a guy by the name of Billy Napier wanted him to come run some stuff.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, and nobody talks about that, I guess if he does play a significant amount, do you think that they can win that football game?
I'm trying to. I mean, Max Johnson. From everything that I know about Max Johnson, I mean, he's better than King. I can't remember what Max Johnson looks out of play action, because I expect there to be a lot of running and then a lot of play action passing.
Well, here's the thing. He won't have the one thing I'll give Jimbo. He won't do what LSU did a season ago and roll him to the opposite side.
Oh, no. That's not – he's not going to be doing anything silly like that. But, Max Johnson could win that game. I could see him. I'm almost convinced, though, that it's not going to be the quarterback's going to have to be efficient regardless of what happens. But it's really going to have to be the offensive line. Really, if they're not firing off the ball and you don't see those Miami, tackles and ends 2-3 yards down the field on a run, then I'm not exactly sure what the plan was for this A&M team. I really thought that they were going to be a efficient running game and work off of, play actions and everything else, the linebackers are going to be trying to stop the run. And then, you just toss the ball over their heads. That's what I thought the game plan was, but I didn't quite see that. So if I don't see that this time, then I don't know what Jimbo's honestly doing. I think maybe 25, 30 passes should get it done for Texas A&M if they're going to win this. The rest of it should be on the ground.
Haynes King looks like Urkel trying to throw a football. There, I said it. I want to get to US. He does, bro.
He's not as good as Mac Johnson. I'll say that.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
And look, Max had what, 3 or 4 touchdowns against A&M a season ago, maybe 2 or 3. I don't remember. He almost has as many touchdowns against A&M than Haynes King has at A&M.
Period, right?
That's the point.
No.
The thing that people don't give Max Johnson a lot of credit for, 37 total touchdowns, 37 total touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's in the SEC. Yeah. All right, I do want to get to this. Last question for you, and then I'll get you out of here. I know you're busy, man. I see your laptop. People wanting to know, everything. Look, I get it. But I got to ask you this.
No doubt.
How serious am I supposed to take USC?
USC is the only team in the Pac-12 that has a shot at the college football playoff. There, I said it. There's not another team out there that I've looked at. Washington is okay. Oregon, you saw what happened with them.
Utah's probably not going to make it now, even if they win out.
It's USC or bust for the Pac-12.
I'm sorry. Could you see a 2-loss SEC or Big Ten team getting in over like a Utah after they lost to Florida?
I mean, if it was between a 1-loss Utah and a 2-loss SEC team, then yeah. But we're not going to get – I don't think that's going to be one of these years where everybody has a loss and we're looking at 2-loss teams to get in. I think there's going to be – there are some teams with some significantly favorable schedules that I'd be surprised. Like, I came in and I was talking about BYU and how much better they were than Utah. Well, and everybody had, good old Memphis Spence when I had my little preseason, and I really hate preseason lists, but they make you do it. I was like, no. BYU's better than Utah. I've watched it. They're just better. And I get it. I know there's a whole lot of bias about, Power 5 and, hey, Pac-12, this, that, and the other. Kalani has those guys at BYU. They're on point. I'd be surprised if they lose a game, honestly. I'd honestly be surprised at this point. That team is probably the independent that has the best shot at making the college football playoff at this point in the season. Just looking at their schedule, because I don't know if their schedule. I don't think their schedule gets harder than somebody at Baylor. I mean, it's really a schedule that's kind of favorable in terms of strength, but I think that they can beat almost every team on there. Either Ohio State or Michigan is going to get into this thing. Looking at both of their schedules, I'm like, they really only have themselves on the schedule. Not taking anything away from Michigan State. They can still be spoiler in this, but one of those two teams are probably going to get in as well. Then we're looking at in the ACC, who's going to beat Clemson this year? They can be beat. DJ's not that great.
No, but Klubnik.
Yeah.
Hey, Spence, you ever just look at a dude and you like play football and you're like, okay, I've seen enough.
Yeah,
I've seen enough. He's better than DJ right now. It's not close.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's probably going to be now. It'll be interesting to see if there are 2 teams from the Big Ten or 2 teams from the SEC that get in this year, because I think it could very well be, both the winner and the loser of the SEC or the Big Ten championship, depending on who that is, or maybe even a 1-loss Ohio State team that lost to the team playing in the Big Ten championship, and both of those get in. I don't know if I don't think a 2-loss team has ever been in, and I don't expect to see that until we move to 12. There's not going to be any 2-loss teams. I think they're going to try and, as much as possible, keep undefeated and 1-loss champions in the college football playoff for right now.
Do you have time for one more? They're peppering me
Yeah,
to ask
go
you
ahead.
this question. All right.
I got time for you, Blake. I got time.
I know, and I greatly appreciate it. I got to give you the bottle of scotch, like things of rich mahogany. Bourbon, that's it. I'll get you some. Hey, look now, Saturday mornings, we do this little show, this little SEC show, and this girl named Jenna, she comes on here and she makes these drinks. Dog, I'm drunk by 10. Telling you, I don't know what she does. She's from Chicago. I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to argue with a blonde woman from Chicago. Just not going to do it. The last time that happened, Al Capone wound up in federal prison. So I'm not going to do that.
That's right.
Let me ask you this. Everybody wants to know, and they're peppering me to ask you about Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman. Now, listen, Spence, there's a lot of justification down in the bayou, and I think rightfully so, about Brian Kelly and about Marcus Freeman going 0-3. But Memphis, it's not for me that they're 0-3. It's how bad they've looked in going 0-3. Like, you can't get absolutely obliterated on the line of scrimmage against Marshall. You can't lose to a team whose mascot is a mythical character from Zelda. Okay, you can't do it. So when you know that's what the Thundering Herd is. It's a mythical character from Zelda.
Yes.
When we talk about Notre Dame, what is your opinion on them so far being 0-3 under Marcus Freeman?
Man, I'd really like for a black man to have a job, but I don't know, man. I don't. You all might have. Think about if Marcus was there at LSU calling plays. I mean, from what you saw, I sometimes you have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and I think BK giving that man a shot, like, all right, y'all don't love me anymore. Go ahead and give this man a shot. And I want him to do well, but I don't know how long he can. If he doesn't win the rest of the games, is he even there after a year? I mean, you know how Notre Dame gets itchy. They're going to be looking for somebody at the end of the year if he only wins, 6 games. So, and right now, 6 games would be pretty good for Notre Dame compared to what we've seen. I hope he doesn't have a losing season, even though it looks. If you can't beat Marshall,
can you find 6 wins on their schedule?
Something. Let's do that. Let's look at their schedule and see if we can find 6 wins. Because I kid you not, with how they're playing right now, I don't know if there are 6 wins.
Week, let me see.
Let's look at the schedule. All right. They got Cal.
I can share it right here, Memphis. Hold on one second. I'm gonna get the team to pull it up here. Here we go, right here. All right, so they have, obviously they lost to Ohio State and Marshall. They have Cal, North Carolina, BYU, Stanford, UNLV, Syracuse, Clemson, Navy, Boston College, USC. So I mean, maybe there's some in there, but I think that they lose to BYU right here. Maybe you beat UNLV and Syracuse. I don't think they beat Clemson. I think they could beat Navy, so that's 3. Boston College being 4, and Memphis. I think that they lose to Southern Cal. Right?
Yeah, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose to USC. Navy, Boston College, UNLV. Maybe Stanford. I think that's
Cal. I mean, they can win this week. They can win against North Carolina, but I mean, at the same point, that's 2. So you're 2-2. So you're having to find 4 more wins. Can you find 4 wins in BYU, Stanford, UNLV, Syracuse, Clemson, Navy, Boston College? Maybe. I
mean, and that's if they can beat Cal and North Carolina. Marshall's not that great of a team, guys. I'd be willing to say if Marshall went head up with Cal and North Carolina, they don't win either of those games. So the question is going to be whether or not Notre Dame can get a game plan together. I mean, if you can't beat the Thundering Herd, I mean, are you going to beat the Tar Heels?
We've seen UNC put 63 up against App State. I mean, they can put points up. So
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. They played Ohio State well enough that I thought they were a legit team, and they just came out and laid an egg against Marshall. I'm like, wait a minute. You only had 10 points against Ohio State, and I was like, okay, that's the Ohio State defense. We had 21 points against Marshall. Is that the Marshall defense? I mean, how is this going to – if they can't score 30 against Cal, I'm writing them off for the year. I mean, because they're not going to – BYU is going to run Robshot over them. Syracuse, if you watch the way that they beat Louisville, I'm not sure that they can win that game in the Carrier Dome. Maybe. I hope so. I don't know what that would be if Notre Dame goes up to Syracuse and loses that. Clemson,
and if it's in that dome, and if it's at night, shit gets weird in New York at night, man. Ask the Mafia.
It's a 7 p.m. game. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's to be announced. Clemson's a 7 p.m. game. So yeah, I don't know what time that game is at the Carrier Dome, but yeah, it can get weird up there. USC, they can beat Navy. Navy didn't look good at all against Memphis.
No, they're not good at all. But here's the thing, though, Memphis. That team's so undisciplined. Who knows
where they're going to find offense? Yeah. If you cannot, that was Marshall that you only scored 21 points against.
And you only scored.
We already know what UNC did just a few weeks ago.
They can score. I'm not worried about UNC scoring. Their defense is butt with Gene Chizik, but they can score.
Right. So
we'll see.
Six games, maybe.
All right. That's Memphis Spence. Memphis, tell everybody where they can catch all your stuff. We got to get you out of here.
Yeah, man.
Back to your beautiful family. Where can they catch all your content?
Sports Radio America. You can catch me noon to 2 Eastern Mondays and Thursdays live on the Sports Radio America network. Get your sandwich, go out for lunch, listen to me. On Mondays and Thursdays, we have some of the best writers from the FWAAN from around the nation. We have some really good discussions on there as well. Additionally, we're going to be doing something with our website. It's going to be pretty cool. But I'll let you know when that starts going live with Sports Radio America. We're trying to get these journalists, raise up this next batch of journalists or whatnot, and get everybody an opportunity to start building out their own audiences.
I'm a journalist. All right, Memphis. We'll see you next week, buddy. Later.
Is that your diary?
No, this is what keeps me sane. I'm like Will Smith in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You get my little black book, you get the little LSU secrets that probably people shouldn't have.
Ooh, look at that.
I'll sell this thing for $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million.
All right, man.
All right, later, Memphis. We'll see you. That's Memphis Spence. Guys, we are running so late here. That's my fault. Let's do this because I know my buddy Scarborough is doing his show. We're going to just go ahead and call it a night. We'll pick everything back up tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow at 6 p.m., we go live. Not 7, 6 p.m. But until then, we'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.